What most people consume each day isn't really food. It's a carefully engineered product developed in labs, processed to survive months on shelves and fine-tuned to override the brain's natural signals. Not chosen for nutrition, but for addiction. People are drained, undernourished, and made to depend on the very system that weakens them. That's what those at the top of the pharmaceutical and processed food industry count on. Health declines by design, and the solution? Now, you may have heard of Amish people. If not, Amish people are a community of people who came from Europe to America in the 1700s to escape religious persecution and live freely. They live mostly in rural areas and have kept their old traditions, living very simply. The Amish grow, raise, and cook nearly all their food. Fresh, home prepared, free of processed additives. They avoid modern technology like cars and computers, and they burn thousands of calories daily through farming and manual labor. Amish men average nearly 18,000 steps a day, women about 14,000, making them 6 times more active than typical Americans. Studies show that Amish adults have obesity rates of just 4%, compared to 42% for the American adult population, a living example of how clean food and activity can protect health. From 1971 to 1980, obesity rates stayed steady, but the 1980s brought a rapid surge. Obesity and severe obesity increased dramatically for both men and women. Rates shot up by over 80%. Each generation is heavier entering adulthood and continues gaining weight with age. Childhood obesity has more than tripled in 40 years, leading to health problems once rare in youth. Diseases like type 2 diabetes are appearing earlier and progressing faster, causing serious complications such as kidney failure, heart damage in teens and young adults. So what can possibly be so bad that's causing this global health crisis among all ages? What's really going into your system? Maybe you have a sweet tooth for a crumble cookie. To make some classic chocolate chip cookies, you'll roughly need 6 ingredients. But for a simple chocolate chip cookie from Crumble, you would be consuming 32 ingredients. Or perhaps a bag of Cheetos. Not too bad, right? Yellow 6, that bright golden orange dye designed to make your Cheetos pop, linked to neurobehavioral issues in kids and can trigger allergic reactions like hives or asthma. Some batches are contaminated with carcinogens, raising cancer concerns. MSG, the brain-hacking flavor enhancer found in roughly 75% of processed foods. Studies report reactions like headaches, nausea, or fatigue in sensitive people. TBHQ, tertiary butyl hydroquinone, a preservative extending shelf life linked to vision problems, immune suppression, and tumor growth. And one of the biggest offending chemicals, a cousin of yellow 6, is the infamous red 40, or scientifically known as allure red aluminium complex, a synthetic dye, synthetic meaning no natural coloring and purely chemical based, used to give foods that bright eye-catching red color, making snacks and drinks look more appealing and fun. Without thought, it just comes across as a harmless color additive thrown in candy. But if we go deep into the factory process of red 40 after being derived from crude oil, that once harmless additive morphs into petroleum, the same chemical your car is fueled off. And if we keep digging, it only gets worse. Red 40 is the most studied synthetic food dye and linked to more health problems than any other single dye. In prolonged or overconsumption, red 40 is tied to DNA damage, meaning it disrupts the instructions inside your cells, the blueprint guiding your body's growth and repair. Red 40 can scramble that code, causing cells to malfunction. It's essentially interfering with your body at the deepest cellular level. We can most likely agree, for people consuming petroleum daily, these effects are only scraping the surface of it. All European Union member states have a warning label for any foods containing red 40, and in the US, it's poured into the population's diet. Ironically, the FDA, Food and Drug Administration in the United States, have allowed for the dye to even be approved as a color additive for use in drugs, including oral and topical pharmaceuticals. The problem causer is in the apparent problem solver. That's questionable, and it's clear a large portion of processed garbage is targeted towards a specific customer: children, young, impulsive, and immature. In this case, it's like giving candy to a baby. Over the last 2 decades, ADHD diagnoses have exploded. In the early 2000s, about 7.8% of US children were diagnosed with ADHD. Today, it's over 11%. That's about 1 in every 9 kids. The fastest growing age group, children under 12. Within the total global population, roughly 1 in 16 people have ADHD. Now, the evergreen consumption of ultra-processed junk is working. The people are sick, they need a quick easy fix without having to give up their beloved junk. Or better yet, without even knowing it was tied to the junk all along. That easy fix is medication. Kids diagnosed with ADHD are being prescribed powerful stimulant drugs from the largest medicine mafias, like Adderall, Ritalin, Vyvanse, Concerta, drugs that alter brain chemistry, not just tweaking hormones, but manipulating the brain's natural systems, distorting the way people experience reality, forcefully rewiring emotional, cognitive, and even moral circuits. In 2018 alone, over 91% of ADHD medications prescribed to adults and kids in the US were stimulants. That same year, sales of ADHD medications hit $13.3 billion, and it hasn't stopped. Today, the global ADHD drug market is worth over $15.8 billion per year. Vyvanse alone brings in $3 billion annually for pharmaceutical giant Takeda. And it's not just Takeda, companies like Novartis, Johnson & Johnson and Eli Lilly are all in on it. During the pandemic, emergency measures relaxed regulations around telemedicine to reduce in-person doctor visits and slow the virus spread. Telehealth company Dun Global exploited relaxed regulations to flood the market with stimulant prescriptions without proper checks, distributing over 40 million pills and earning over $100 million. They now face criminal charges for fueling addiction and insurance fraud. Across the spectrum of major chronic health conditions, including diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, and other diet or lifestyle-related illnesses, an estimated 40 to 60% of affected individuals will require medication for their entire lives. That locks in billions of medicinal subscriptions. Among diabetes cases, type 2 is the most common worldwide. It accounts for about 90 to 95% of all diabetes cases globally and is strongly linked to lifestyle factors such as diet, physical inactivity, and obesity. Type 2 diabetes affects 537 million adults worldwide as of 2021, projected to rise to 783 million by 2045. The most common medication for diabetes and the cheapest is metformin, which costs roughly $100 to $200 per year per person. So the annual global cost of metformin for all people with diabetes could be around $117 billion by 2045. And that's to name one health problem. If we consider all medications for all health problems, the numbers skyrocket. The global pharmaceutical market tied to chronic, metabolic, and mental health issues already accounts for hundreds of billions of dollars each year, contributing heavily to the industry's total $1.5 trillion USD annual revenue. And this is expected to rise even further with aging populations, rising obesity rates, and expanding diagnostic categories. The evidence suggests many of these medications don't cure disease, they manage symptoms. This is part of why some argue that health has become one of the most consistently profitable industries, not by fixing root causes, but by keeping people reliant. Companies flood the market with ultra-processed foods, laced with synthetic dyes and additives known to damage health and alter behavior. People react. Children, teens, adults, they develop chronic health issues. They're labeled with conditions, ADHD, depression, anxiety. Doctors prescribe medications, often stimulants, sometimes sedatives. Pharmaceutical giants profit. Billions made annually from treating symptoms that trace back to what we are fed. It's a perfect closed system, a self-sustaining business model where both the problem and the solution are manufactured and monetized. Meanwhile, candy and snack ads flood every screen. Grocery shelves stay stacked with junk, and nobody touches the root cause, because addressing that wouldn't just hurt one industry, it would hurt two. It's a supply chain, and if you follow the money, it becomes painfully clear. The system isn't designed to heal, it's designed to profit from. This is what happens when health becomes business, and business decides what ends up on your plate, in your bloodstream, and ultimately in your diagnosis.